The dancing never gets old, I promise you, folks. But World War III, financial stock crashes. What a way to start the week. It's been an interesting one. And thank you for joining us with Financial Fitness with Patrick, presented by Soaring Media. What a week. What a week. What a week. And it's only Monday. We are in a very unique time right now, folks. And as you're watching this, this will come out on Wednesday this week. Hopefully, we are not in a deeper conflict in the Middle East than where we were on over the weekend. We saw Israel attacked by Iran. That ended up being a real dud. It was not a real show of force, but it cost about $1.5 billion for Iran to send over their small arms that was 99% inefficient against the defense system of Israel. But what does it mean on a global macroeconomic scale? What are we doing? Where are we? What sort of, next form of attack are we going to see, whether Iran or a retribution attack from Israel? We looked today on Monday, watching the futures markets. We saw interest rates rising once again. We saw the dollar rising. And oddly enough, oil wasn't a big player in today's market. But we saw the NASDAQ, we saw the S&P 500, we saw a lot of the indicators dropping in a way that we haven't seen in a long time in this last upward rising market. So what do we do? Are we in a correction? Is this a downtrend? Is this hang on to your butts? What do we do from now? And this is where patience is going to take hold. We saw Bitcoin drop down in around the 7.5% to 8% over the last 48 hours. 72 hours is going to be an interesting timeline for the Bitcoin. We're seeing risk assets drawing down, taking risk off the table, and oddly enough, not moving into the bond market. That's why bonds are up. Like we've talked about here with the profiteers before, is that as risk assets come off the table, we tend to see bond yields drop. That is debt. That's where our system is based off of. But people aren't funneling back into the bond market. So where are they going? They're going into energy. They're going into commodities. And that is continuing an inflationary concern. What have we been worried about since, September, October, November of last year into 23? We're worried about what the Federal Reserve Chair is going to do. Is he going to make a decision on our rates? How is cost of borrowing going to be affected? As rates continue to ratchet up with concerns of war in the Middle East, we have to be very cognizant of what the costs of borrowing are going to be. $31 trillion is a lot of money to be walking into the next potential world crisis. So that's where we are today. We have a number of headwinds against us. We see a massive pullback in the NASDAQ. Risk-on assets are getting punished. This next week is going to be pivotal. That's why you come here. You come here to get the facts. You come here to see what the market is going to be doing. And more so than that, you come here to get kind of a personal story around it. And James and I have been doing this for the last 3.5 months. We've been looking at where the market is going. We've been seeing the massive headwinds that are coming, and we've been very short this market. And we've been wrong. We've been punished for our wrong. And now it seems like we're in a position where we're finally getting it right. Unfortunately, it's a sad state. It's a sad story when you see trillions of dollars, approximately $50 billion, came off the table in 10 minutes today on the NASDAQ. That's an amazing amount of money to come off of the stock market evaluations. And that was simply because Israel said, we're not done. We are in a position where we are going to retaliate against the Iranian attacks. And that puts a risk of a global conflict. We have Saudi Arabia, we have Europe, we have a number of players that are defending Israel in an ironic sort of tale. But we have Russia, we have Iran, we have a number of players on the other side of that are sticking to their guns. It's going to be a very interesting next week. We'll see what Israel decides to do. But where do we go from here? How do we plan? When we look at a lot of the indicators that we follow, we look at moving averages, we look at trends that we see in the market, and we're breaking through static averages. We're breaking through these multiple week and multiple month averages on our charts. So we have to understand that we have entered a bear market. And what that is that we are going to go through a correction phase here over the next probably week, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then we have to reevaluate where we go from here. Do we head back to the October and November lows, or are we going to catch a bounce and continue going? It's going to depend on how much money and inflows is going to be spent. We're going to have an election year. Election years traditionally are very strong economic years. But this one is different. This election year seems like it just has more on the table. And right now, you look at the Biden administration, you look at the situation that Trump's in, and it's a very weird time in the United States political landscape. But How do we make money in the midterm? We make money on the way up. We make money on the way down. And then we take that money and we put it into businesses. We take that money off the table. Unfortunately, we pay a little bit of taxes on that, but then we move it into businesses. And sometimes our businesses, they need design work. They need software as a services in the education sector. And that's where my guest today comes. After my ongoing monologue, I'm joined by Angela DiMarco, and she is the design Jedi, self-proclaimed, and she does pretty good about it. Angela, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting here like listening to your monologue, and I'm like, like wanting to throw up in my mouth, basically.
It's a scary time in the world, isn't it?
It's just crazy because it's so far removed from my everyday. It's just this is what you do, and it's so awesome that you bring it to a practical, understandable level. So you're doing a great service. But
Thank you.
then it's just like I think about like making cupcakes for the class party next week because that's what my
Yeah.
world is.
Well, and that's it. And you know what? I hate to say it, but it's one of those situations that if we don't understand some of these bigger issues that are going around in the world, we struggle with doing the cupcake scenario. And the markets move so much money, it makes the world turn. Greed makes the world tick. And today when we look at it, people's financial foreshadowing is a little bit on the wall right now. And that could be your retirement, that could be your pension, that could be your vehicle that maybe you don't make that payment out in the driveway. Your mortgage is getting more and more expensive. And that's where I try to bring with financial fitness is I try to bring this understanding for people that I love that you're the cupcake ma. I think that's fantastic. But if we can get to that point, and I'm not saying we're going to come into some of the acumen that you bring to the table here because you're a very smart businesswoman in your own right. But for the average person sitting on the street and living their normal life is that if you can understand some of these basic terms and some of the basic scenarios that are going around the world, you can kind of follow the puck, as a good Canadian saying would be. You kind of follow the puck to where it's going. And I talked about shorting this market, and I talked about my concerns around this. And I'm old enough to remember 08, 09, but I'm not old enough to be a part of it. And one of the big things was we had the subprime housing issue, right? We had this crisis that came. And what I'm very concerned of now is a subprime auto loan collapse. So what that means is people that during COVID that went out and they decided to buy the new car, the new truck, the new whatever, even go boat, right? These are loans that people went out and they needed. We had a supply glut, right? There was no supply. You had cars that weren't making it off the factory floor. So you had prices that went up exponentially. You had a $50,000, $60,000 vehicle selling for $80,000, $90,000, and well, there's a 3-month wait for it, right? Well, now all of a sudden you have on the flip side of that $50,000, $60,000 vehicle is now on sale. Well, we're only 2 years removed from that $90,000, $60,000 car.
Yes.
How do you get out of that deal?
Yeah.
Because I can't sell it used for what you can buy it new. So what I'm concerned about is that we're going to have an unemployment push as recessions come. They always do. The all-time highs, you're going to recession. That is how the system works. I hate to say it, folks. But as we push into that, we're going to see some headwinds. Well, now you have a $90,000 car that you can't sell for 70 or 60, and you lost your job. That's a problem. So that's where I'm really concerned is that we're going to have an auto, we're going to have a subprime, a auto type sector that's going to really crash this and really make it a problem because you're going to walk away from your car before you're going to walk away from the house.
Yeah.
Some people still have collateral and equity in their home, but they probably don't in their car.
Yeah.
So you're going to walk away. So that's a big thing. But Angela, I have digressed completely from where we were going.
While you're in your digression, I'm not old enough to remember 2008. So that was pretty much, that was a pivotal point in my career. So
sure.
I grew up in advertising in New York City, like Madison Avenue, did the whole thing. And I was pretty mid-level as a creative director in 2008. And they had won a huge account with Merck and then they blew it. So we all got laid off. but everybody in New York got laid off and everybody's looking for jobs. So at that point in time, like crisis creates opportunity, right?
Sure.
And so a couple colleagues of mine, a couple peers that I had, we got together and created small boutique services that were from a professional agency level, and it was opportunity. So in times like this, having people like you to be like, listen, this is coming, so be careful. How can we create the opportunities is really what we should all be focusing on, I think.
100%, Angel. And I love that viewpoint, is that because, again, like I said in the monologue there, is that there are opportunities both sides of this. You're able to trade up, you're able to trade down, and not just on a stock aspect. But then where is the puck going? Where is the ball moving on the field? What are segments of the business cycle that are going to be needed through this next phase, right? We look at our aging demographics. We look at what they're doing right now. Healthcare, for instance, the insurance business is going to get hammered. The healthcare industry is going to do quite well. Mm-hmm. So am I going to open a business in the insurance business? Probably not. Maybe healthcare, though. That seems like a pretty good way to start. But yourself, you have a bit of a business model that you've put together here and some educational software as a service. Tell me about it.
So 2 years ago, Dana Sardano, she's my co-host of my podcast and co-everything, best friend, whatever. We built an online learning platform. We call it finduniquelyu.com. It's got like a little U for university style. And basically, it was in COVID, and again, opportunity, crisis creates opportunity. Realized that for the first time ever, normal people, grandparents, little kids were using Zoom to connect with each other. And it was no longer just this office thing, just like, oh, let me talk to the office in Japan, but it was like a thing. And one thing that I realized is that you can really truly feel someone's energy and connect with somebody. They could be on the other side of the world. So I came up with this idea to help people who want to start a business, right? Like this, they want to start a business. They got laid off from COVID. They didn't want to go back to the restrictions and the laws, and they wanted to do something new. So we wanted to create a platform for them where if you don't have any experience teaching, but like, let's say you want to teach something that you really care about, we'll train you. So we built this platform. It's not only an ed tech like software that we built, but it's a whole training system, and it's very human to human. And we had the instructors, the business models, the instructors don't pay anything to come in to do the training. We get them up and running, and then we take a bigger slice on the back end, and we manage all their workshops for them. So they don't have to have any of the marketing. They don't have to have the, the back end stuff, the billing. We handle all of it. And so we were running it for ourselves. And then Dana,
James, maybe throw it up there, pal.
Thank you. So this is going to be running in the background, and it's basically just shows you it's a closed campus, and we use Big Blue Button software, which is used by universities all over the world, and it's much more secure than like Zoom and other things like that. But it creates this real sense of connection. It's just a really, really beautiful, beautiful space. So Dana and I used this, and we had our community, and we were up and running, and then we shifted. We pivoted. We pivoted and decided we wanted to go more into our podcast and publishing divisions. Those are more like lighting up our soul. So now I want to give this software and this whole business model to a community or a corporation or anybody that's looking to have like a live learning hub. Great for communities who are like building businesses, for people, giving them a platform and a leg up. Great for influencers who are trying to teach and want to expand their audiences. It's much different than like school and other learning management softwares, the systems that are out there, because this is strictly live learning. It's like putting an addition on your house.
Okay. So give me an organization. Give me your prime customer that would take this. How do they implement this in their current organizational structure, and what would be the benefit for them in kind of the short, mid, and long term on implementing a platform along this way?
Sure. So we have two kind of main audiences, main clients that I'm looking for that would really benefit. One is Simon Sinek. You've heard of Simon Sinek, right? He's
briefly, yeah.
Yeah. So he's brilliant, and he's in like my marketing world. So there's quotes all over the place in my pitch decks. But he started something called the Optimism School. Simon Sinek is brilliant. He's written books. He's just so in tune with everything. So he started a school where he has a pool of instructors that he works with directly, and then they go out and teach on his behalf. And so somebody like that, somebody who has a big community, somebody who is an influencer, somebody who wants to expand their teachings, but they're only one person, or they're only a small organization and they want to spread it out. The other is any kind of corporation that is global, remote workforces, whatever it may be. We're talking to a bank that has many branches. It's a great live learning hub for all of the sales, the trainings, the HR, but then also the personal development, because, it's like getting a gym membership for, as an employee benefit. Like, I remember my first job, we had a Crunch as a client, Crunch gyms in New York. And I would go to Crunch gyms every day. And I was like, this is the best. My job's the best. So it's like that. Like, you can do personal wellness, leadership training. You can do all kinds of like really cool collaborative things that help a culture thrive.
Very cool.
And it being centralized, it's branded, it's centralized. It's not, you're not outsourcing. I don't know if you've ever had like the corporate weekend where you had the big speaker and everyone's like, yeah, and then come Monday, everybody's back to normal.
They are the worst.
They're the worst.
They are the worst.
They have
so
good intentions.
thank God I have James, because James is the guy that like will go to that sort of thing. He'll listen intently because he's like that heart-centered, like really like, I learned something beautiful from that guy. Like, I learned something from everybody. As he's giving me the finger down there in the bottom there, folks. But like, he's that type of guy, and I'm like, give me the Cole's notes. What the hell was the last 4 hours about, right? I got nothing. I fell asleep. I'm out. But that's where Monday morning, I'm fired and ready to go. And James is like, I learned so much, but now what? Where do we go? How do we implement, right? It's like, like you're saying.
Exactly. So you can do like, weekly, biweekly, small group sessions where you take people from different offices and put them together and have think tanks and all kinds of things that can help with the culture, because the culture really stems from people feeling seen, heard, and valued. And if employees don't feel those things, then they're not going to perform well. They're going to go look for the jobs or whatever. And right now, with everything that's going on in the world, I think everybody feeling safe and seen and heard and valued is really important. So our platform could really, really assist with that.
Well, so speaking on, the aspect of being seen and heard, you and your partner in crime, Dana, have started the Going Commando podcast, which we've kind of got some things in the work, folks. So, financial fitness, Soaring Profits, folks, that you guys that are tuning in here right now, we might be doing a little collaboration. We'll let you know when it all comes out. But kind of a cool little project. But tell me a little bit about Dana. First of all, how did you ladies meet? Because I know there's a bit of a story there. And then what is this? First of all, why podcasting? Like, here I got a mic. I'm a podcaster today, I guess. But why podcasting? And how have you used it to amplify your message?
Awesome. So Dana was my pledge mom in our sorority in 1992 at University of South Florida in Tampa. Cool. University of Son of Fun, whatever. So she was a senior, I was a freshman. So but when I saw her, she had, so this is 92. Her hair was ginormous and she was loud. I mean, she was everything she is now, but like more so, like doing keg stands. I love it. Right. It was crazy.
God bless her. Yeah.
And I worship the ground she walked on, I swear. Just I've cool. told her. So
now James is with me. It's just a wonderful relationship. I see you down there, buddy. Yeah.
So Dana and I lost touch. And then in December 2019, I lost a baby. And if anyone's looking at the video, I have a painting behind me over here. I had reconnected with Dana on Facebook after 20 something years, both of us living our dumpster fire lives and coming together. And I asked her to commission this painting. I commissioned the painting for my baby. And then we had an intuitive guidance session, which is basically, it's like a life coaching kind of thing, but like more, it's like life coaching on steroids. And I told her my idea for this online learning platform. And she was like, you have to do it. You have to do it. And then she's like, well, I'll just be your friend. I'm just going to be in the background. All right. You need a little money? I'll throw you some money, but I'm not going to, all right. I'll be your partner. All right. And I suckered her in.
That's awesome. I love that. That's cool.
So we started, our podcast was actually called Cuddle Talk, because we wanted to help our instructors get elevated. So we were planning on doing interviews with our U instructors, and in their jammies, get a cozy stuffy, and like, let's just get away from our desks and just be real, right? And then once in a while, when we didn't have an instructor, we had us. We just called it Going Commando. And then when we were like pivoting from the online learning platform, we were like, let's just do Going Commando. And it just made so much sense. So what's amazing about our podcast, and I think it's truly unique, is that we have guests once in a while. Like we used to do it all the time. Now we're kind of getting away from it. But Dana is a 3-time author. Her books are about personal empowerment. She's got the wisdom of Confucius. Like, she is just absolutely brilliant. She's hilarious. She's authentic. She's amazing. But I am the person I am today because of her. So but the work that she does, the work that she teaches is transformational. It is transformational. And I want to curse so bad because that's how much it is. And so it's my goal is to help people see and hear and understand Dana and what she has to offer, because we've got so much shit going on in the world right now. And we just need to like focus here. If we focus here, we'll all be happy and we'll all be okay. You know,
I think that's just such a very cool testimonial too, as well as just as a friend. You know, when you can get two people, and that's sort of our story with Soaring Profits, James and I, is that he harassed me for forever. I said, there's no effing way I'm doing a podcast. And then all of a sudden we met up with a bunch of crazy people down in Texas, and all of a sudden I didn't mind the idea. And it sounds like maybe that's a little bit along your story too, is that all of a sudden you have a story to tell. You have a messaging, you have a branding that you can start getting behind. And it's a unique business. How have you found the startup, the moving forward? You come from Madison Avenue branding, so this must be just a slam dunk, easy shot, right?
Oh, you would think. Sure. Well, you know, I do. So I'm all about the branding part of it, the creative, the design, the strategy of a brand, but I'm not the digital marketer. Like, I always had digital marketer people that were really smart around me. And so I don't play the SEO game. I don't play the algo game. I just don't have time and a desire. So that's a detriment.
It is so hard. It is so hard to do all the things. And unfortunately, it seems like the algorithms that be on all the different platforms. And again, like Soaring Profits, we are on YouTube. That's sort of our main. We have about, 25 to 30,000 views a month. Instagram, TikTok, X, like all of these platforms have very different algorithmic things that need to be met. Either that or you're not going to be seen. So how does that world change from a branding ambassador, someone that's working on a branding aspect, and then trying to work on content, the brand that you're building, but then also trying to figure out, like, how do we put this all together? What does that look like for somebody starting off?
So for us, the latter part of that is the easiest part. So literally we show up, our content is all based around like our books. So I wrote a book about my starting business, and Dana's books. So we do our seasons based on a book. And we have content planned through next year. That's why we don't do guests that often, because we pretty much have like a schedule and we just throw them in, but so for me, the branding part is easy, because I just love doing it, and I'm getting better and better at editing myself. I'm like Premiere Pro, like I'm so excited, and we just filmed a commercial, so I'm really excited, and I think that's the thing that we're gonna do, the SEO game money against thing. But the commercial's awesome. I can't wait. So I'm really excited about that. And I think we're just doing our jam. Like, I think our goal is not necessarily to become YouTube sensations, although 30,000 views would be awesome. So Going Commando with Angela and Dana, check it out, subscribe, please. Thank you. Watch the show.
Absolutely.
But I truly believe that Dana and I are more network focused.
Sure.
So we want an actual network show. Like, we want networks to pick us up and find us.
That's cool.
We need Justin Bieber moment. We need the Justin Bieber
I love
moment.
it. Yeah. Well, we had Maddie and Kiki on, who was just kind of down the road from us on our Soaring Profits, and they have done something very similar to what you guys did. And they went into the barbecue space, two beautiful young ladies, and now they are in a position where they're picking up brand ambassadorships and actually some quite lucrative deals in regards to the barbecue space. And their whole view is that, like, during COVID, how do you pivot? the pivot, right? Everyone
Yes.
did a pivot. And these two ladies are very similar, is that they had their Justin Bieber moment kind of on that local front, and then have blown up provincially here in Canada. And now we're on kind of this national stage where it's Canada, but they're doing quite well for themselves. And it just starts with that one brand. And their platform at the time is that they were taking shots at everybody. They decided they wanted to go into the barbecue space. They were tagging Weber. They were tagging No Name. They were tagging everybody they could possibly, and being like, hey, we're showcasing your product. Reach out to us. And they were doing it on local channels. They were doing it on their social media channels. They did such a fantastic job of creating a pre-brand of Maddie and Kiki, that when the brands came to them, they had a beautiful package ready to go, that it was just implementation.
Yeah.
You can put any barbecue in front of me and we're going to be able to sell this because we've built our clientele. Our customer base is there. They're here for us. Now your product just gets to fit in there beautifully, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's where this whole space has really changed in my mind, right? And it's why when James came to me 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, I want nothing to do with podcasting. I want nothing to do with any of this. None of this makes sense to me. Nothing I say, nobody gives a shit. And the problem is that we all have really something important to say. My knowledge comes from a financial markets base, business base. You know, other people have different areas of strength. So if it's brisket, go tell the world about your brisket, man.
Yeah.
Tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, make your thing your thing.
Yes.
And that's where I think it's such a unique opportunity, where podcasting, where James and I are looking at some very interesting things in the healthcare space that we're working on right now. And that's, like I kind of said, segueing into this, is that markets are changing. The whole world that we're looking at here is in a really kind of pivotal time right now, where things are going to go. We have demographic shifting. We have a boomer generation that is heading off into the great unknown, and we got to pay for that. So there's going to be some transference of costs. A whole generation of people that were happy, healthy, and moving forward in their life are now becoming dependent. That's going to be a massive pressure on our healthcare system. And here in Canada, we've already felt it. We are really feeling it. You know, I think you're going to see that over the next year and a half or so, we are going to be in a recession here in Canada. Europe is going to be in a recession when we look back 6 to 8 months, 12 months from now. The United States stays the United States. They are independently powerful. And because of the financial institutions that they have the almighty dollar. Everyone needs their money. They might ride through this into some sort of soft landing. But that's where we have to look at the markets. We have to understand what's happening in the markets. But then we have to take that money off the table when it's time, before a crash, before recessions, and move it into safer assets. Maybe businesses, maybe some software as a service.
maybe.
So Angela, tell me a little bit about the Super Founder Global Network. I know this is a friend of yours. You wanted to kind of give a little shout out there.
Yeah. So in taking that money off the table and putting it into businesses, you know, it's my friend Jeremy Barr. His name's Jeremy Barr. He is a human computer. He is a giant nerd. He is the smartest person I've ever met in my life. I'm sorry, the second smartest person in the United States.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I'm home. We're fine.
So Jeremy and his co-founder Esther Romanoff started this amazing platform. I'm going to read it because I don't want to fuck it up. It's the global Slack channel community where you grow your company and get investment faster than anywhere else by talking to and doing deals with people from pre-revenue to 80 billion. So you buy into this network, and it's a Slack channel, and I'm in it. I'm one of the tiers, and I am getting advice from people who have multiple exits, you know, like just like huge revenues, huge success, and they're helping me with like raising my business. There's pitch deck section. It's beyond any kind of network I've ever seen in my life, and I think it's going to be really huge. And there's affordable tiers for like real, like small businesses or people just starting, founders, early stage. And then there's like a massive tier of like, you know, like you have 100 million in revenue and stuff like that.
Very cool.
But it's just really, really incredible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to it because I really believe in what they're doing, and it's very, very powerful.
Well, that has been something that we have with Soaring Profits, Financial Fitness, all of these projects that we're working on. It has 100% been the old adage, is that your net worth is directly related to your network. And James and I have been super privileged to meet, beautiful people like yourself, Dana, the people at Healthcare Amplified, Sia, our beautiful Sia. God bless you. I was just on the phone with you. Thank you, dear, for all your advice. You're beautiful. We love you. And even going back to a little bit before that, when James and I met, right? That's what sort of started this. So, James, I know you're down there. I appreciate you, pal. Don't go crying over in the corner. I know. Look at him. He's down there. Folks, Angela, how do people get in touch with you? How do they reach out and try to do business with you? You're finduniquelyu.com. And then on LinkedIn, you are Angela DiMarco. Any other contacts they can get in touch with you?
Angela Marie DiMarco. Yeah, because I think there's a bunch of us. But I'm holding a Yeti. I'm all, myself.
Look at
I'm
that.
very professional. But yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place because I really enjoy being able to connect with people and message people and stuff. And we do everything in our business is through there. So the podcast, the publishing, the SaaS products, everything that we do. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn. It's called Diary of a Brand Jedi. I just started it. It's like a new series. And that's really cool because I'm going into like my stories from the trenches of like working with like $1.3 billion clients and, mom and pops and startups. And it's all the same problems that they face. And I have like my tips and tricks.
What do you think of little Japanese guys in Irish caps?
I think that oh my gosh, we waited this long to mention his name. He's going to be so mad.
I don't think we're allowed to. I think there's a scene in the movie we're not supposed to talk about. Thee who shall not be named. But
Mark
Angela, it's a pleasure having you. Yeah, exactly. Zen Sandwich. We'll give him a little shout out here. Great guy, and we're going to be doing some cool stuff with him. So, Angela, it was a pleasure to have you. We look forward to doing some future work with you and your crazy partner in crime there with my other partner in crime. Angela, thank you so much for joining us. Profiteers out there, you got to hang on. You got to see what we're doing, something new every week. As always, folks, let's make some money together, folks.